let's do our warm-up It's Busy Spider song and go into our alphabet and numbers and just kind of get going on that. And then we're going to be on lesson 7 today. So we'll do a little bit of a review from lesson 6, and then we'll go into lesson 7. So here we go. Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And I'm totally doing the wrong actions. And getting ahead of myself. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again. That was trippy. My body's doing one thing, my mind's doing something else. I'm like watching you guys and singing. Oh man, it's been a week. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stretch out my wrists just a little bit more. And I'm going to stretch out my shoulders and back a little bit more too. I like to do little wrist turns too while I'm stretching out my shoulders so that I'm doing like 2 kind of stretch out movement things at the same time. So I do like wrist stretch and shoulder stretch across my body. Those kind of stretches always feel good, especially when you're just spend all day sitting in front of a computer, practically. All right, let's go through the alphabet really quick. All right, A, B, C, D. Yep. Think for this one, think this is like F for think it's also feathers. So think of like her feathery fingers and then this one. So yeah. D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We'll go all the way to 30, and then after that, we'll be good. 23, 24, 25.
I'm getting lost.
Or 25. So this is the base for your 20, right? So
okay.
21, 22, the double number. So it's like 2, 2. It's kind of like down instead of up.
Okay, 22.
23.
That's where I'm getting lost. Okay, so 23. 23.
Yep.
Okay, 20.
Yep, just pop that middle finger up. Yep, 23, 24. 25. You can either wave these middle fingers, like, because it's like saying 25, but then it kind of turns into
25. Okay.
25, 26, 27.
27.
Okay, this just takes practice. I think you know what to do. It's just practice. 28, 29, 30. So all of the other numbers, 40 is just the 4 and then close to a 0. 5 close to a 0. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 1C, and then 1,000. So you can practice all of the numbers all the way up to 999,999. So yeah, that's pretty much all the numbers. The rest of them are just the first number and then the second number. That all the double numbers are bounced. All the 100 numbers are just kind of like crooked, like 100, like 1C, 100, and then 200. You just put it out and then pull it back into a bent 200, 300, 400, because it's like closing it to a 0, but you don't do it all the way. So it's kind of like partial. 500, 600, 700. So you're basically going to the C. 800, 900. Yeah. That's it for the numbers. So you can say I can count to 1,000 in ASL. People can be really super impressed. Okay, we talked about dominant hand. Most of the signs, like for example, I always use this one because this is a good one. This is a sign for help. Your dominant hand, this one is kind of confusing because you don't know which one necessarily is doing the moving. Your dominant hand is the main one that you do one-handed signs with, like all of the finger spelling, all of the numbers, they're all with your right hand unless you're a lefty, and then it would be with your left hand. Whenever you do hands that are produced with 2 signs, one of them does the main action part of it, and the other one kind of follows with it or is attached to it. And then you also have different parts of signs that we've been talking about. The hand shape, the location, the orientation, and the movement, and the actual, like, what the sign is. And so, or sorry, body, the facial expressions and body language, which we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. So he's got a little bit of some references too. I'll go back a little bit to some basic hand shapes that are used a lot in a lot of signs. Sometimes we don't analyze the sign so much. We just, like, I show you a sign, but you know, a lot of signs are made up of hand shapes. So they have like the A hand shape, and a lot of the hand shapes are either a number or a letter. Like that's how they label the hand shape, because it's an easy way for us to understand it and reference it, and it just seems to be an easy way to label it. So like there's an A hand shape, B hand shape, C, the O or the 0, an S hand shape like a fist, a 1, a 5, a 3, where those hand shapes can also become part of a sign, or they can also be used as what's classifiers, which we'll get into, and I think we've reviewed in some of the previous lessons. A classifier is when you use hand shapes to describe something. For example, if I think I gave you this one time. This is a person classifier. Or this is also the one hand shape. This is often used as a person classifier. Now you can either point to that, like you're referencing a person. You can show a person doing an action. It's kind of like zoom in, zoom out is what I like to call it. It'd be like if you're in making film, you know, you can do something from a first person perspective, or you're trying to show like a little miniature version of what's happening. So you can become the person, like in first person, like you're going to act it out. Like if you were the one running down the street, you'd be like, oh, you know, we're running. And then all of a sudden this is you now, and you're running, and you're trying to show what's happening, like zoom out, right? You're trying to show what's happening, someone's chasing you, or you ran into a tree, right? So you can show what you're doing, and then you can go back to showing out like the live, you know, action, what you're interacting with, and then you can go back to what happened to you, and then you can go back to, you know, that. So it's really fun. It's a really fun thing to do in playing around with classifiers and stuff. So something I'd like to get into with you guys later in the class, if we get a chance to, is to learn how to either tell a short story using hand shapes, or learn how to tell a deaf joke using kind of acting out something, learning how to use a little bit of classifiers, learning how to use a little bit of sign. But it's a lot of fun. So the other thing too that we're talking about today, body shifting, where you are turning your body one way or the other to either change topics because you want to talk about this and now you're going to talk about this, or if 2 people are talking and having conversation, you can be both of those people, kind of like a monologue, and somebody's getting up there and they're pretending to act out, you know, they're a one-man show, right? They are everyone, all these different characters. So you can become the different character, like you can become the persona. Like, for example, if you have an adult talking to a child, usually because of height, the child is lower than you. So the adult looks down to the right and the child looks up to the left. So whenever you're talking from in that perspective, that like the adult would say, you know, Jimmy, what are you doing? Oh, nothing, you know. And then whenever you change, you know, the character, you change your facial expressions, you change your body language to your fastness or slowness of your style of signing to represent that person who's talking. It's called register, so that you're speaking in the proper register. So if the adult is angry, you know, you'd show that they were angry. If the child is scared, you know, you'd show that they were scared. You know? So it's really fun. So you just kind of go back and forth between the two characters, having a conversation, talking to yourself basically, but not. But it's fun. So that's one utilization of that skill, having clear definition between who's talking. And then also, how do you show inflection? Like our voice goes up or down, you know, because we're asking a question, or we are not sure about something, or we're really excited, you know, or we're really depressed something, or really care about, you know, blah, blah. So anything that we do, our intonation and inflection with our voice, that's all comes out in our face. So facial expression and body language, and just how you do the sign. Like you can emphasize a sign and make it really, really big, like really big and big, like in the sense of busy and hard and quick and fast. If you're yelling, you know, in sign, you know, or if you're whispering, you know, you'd be signing like maybe down here, like you're whispering. So there's some things that kind of translate over in the process of doing those things, representing those things. When you are, topicalization is when you're trying to emphasize different topics or transition between different topics when you're talking, when you're giving basically interpreting for someone who's talking, like a teacher or a speaker or a lecturer. So there's obvious breaks in their topics between sentences, pauses, emphasis, and things like that. And this is all like super, you know, higher level, complicated. So don't worry about, you know, trying to remember all of this stuff. It's more to just kind of introduce it to you so you can see how those things tie in with this language and how they're used. And there's even very simple ways to use it that you probably just don't realize that you're doing it. For example, even just how you formulate just a simple sentence, like if you were going to say like, maybe first I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go do this. There would be a simple pause in the way that you're signing it to represent that in how you would speak it. Like, is there a comma there? Is there a period there? Is it an exclamation mark or a question mark? So there's a physical way to represent those things with your hand shapes or your facial expressions or your body language. So that's kind of some just simple examples of what topicalization is. So when you hear that big fancy big word, it just means, how are you going to separate what you're talking about? How is the person going to know, oh, they've changed topics. Oh, now they're talking about this, right? Okay. And also the grammar of ASL is a little bit more varied than just object, subject, verb. There's like I think we've kind of hit on this a little bit, different ways that you can phrase the phrasing, whether you say, you know, you put the question at the end or you put the question at the beginning, or whether you put the, you know, add something else for emphasis, or some of the examples on this lesson down at the bottom, it says like apple, and then describing the apple, it's green, you like to eat. So that's the object, the apple, and then the subject, the person who's doing the action, and then the action, eat it. And the question would be, do you like to eat green apples? So obviously different, placement of words. But as you get used to that exposure of the grammar more and more and more, it makes at least the structure of American Sign Language, ASL, versus like Signed Exact English, then you get used to that. It makes more sense, and you actually start kind of translating that, I guess, in your brain without having to be told which word to put in which order. Like your favorite food, what? I think we did your favorite color, what, last week, or we did what's your, favorite color. We talked about that, which is good lead in. Remind myself that I forgot to go over the colors. So let's review those really quick. So we'll just go through the rainbow colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And we did pink, white, sorry, black. I'm thinking white and signing black. My brain is just on backwards today. Black, don't mind me, white. And I think we might have done brown on the chin, and then tan is the same, tan. Like you can get a tan in the summertime too. It's also an orange, like the same orange that you eat, same sign. And rainbow. Any other colors that you guys want to know or that we didn't really do? I mean, any other fancy colors like turquoise, blah, blah, blah. They just finger spell them. Like there's not really a sign for every single color. Gray, because it's in between, right? It's a mixture of white and black.
So do they have, like, if you are a blonde-haired person, for instance, is there like blonde? So it's yellow. Okay. Right.
Yep, yellow or red hair, brown hair, black hair. Yeah. Yep, but this is specifically blonde. You're blonde. Yeah. Yep, they even have their own name sign for their hair color. All right. Okay, so we're going to be doing most of the vocab today in this lesson is food. Super fun. I think food and animals are probably, I don't know, they're the most fun signs to me. I don't know why. Everything else seems kind of boring. Probably because food and animals are fun to me, but
I just made a list of all the signs my son knows today, and I put them in like the categories for his speech therapist, and it was like all colors and animals pretty much.
Yep. They're all the fun ones. They're all the ones that
like types of trucks.
Probably because they're concrete things. I think there's a connection between something that's concrete and physical, and then taking a physical action that you're doing and doing the signs. I think something happens in your brain that, I don't know. It just makes sense. You're talking about these abstract concepts like feelings and emotions and things that there's no connection, right? There's no physical concrete thing. And deaf people in their culture, they're very literal. They're very concrete because their world is very what they see, they're a tactile language. And so, trying to teach them abstract concepts, it's like trying to teach a young child abstract concepts. It's very difficult, and they don't always get it. I mean, and they have to kind of grow up and mature and have just exposure to things to start making abstract connections with things. But they're very literal, very blunt, very literal. Everything's, black and white. Not in general, not every deaf person, because there's a spectrum of deafness, and their exposure to hearing, their level of how much hearing they have, whether they have deaf parents, hearing parents, whether they're, have sign language exposure, no sign language exposure, whether they, what is their world, how are those two cultures coming together for two languages, two cultures, similar to like, a bilingual, it is a bilingual, bicultural environment, just like Spanish or any other language. You've got all of these variants of possible kind of what makes that person who they are. So you can't just slap a label on them and say, oh, they're deaf, so all of these things apply to that person. There's lots and lots of things to consider. So the more you understand and the more you learn about deaf culture and hearing culture and how they come together and different backgrounds and understanding everything, the easier you can relate to those people and be able to meet their needs. Something I found over the years in working with lots of different deaf kids, deaf adults. Seen it all. Maybe not all, but I have seen a lot. So, okay. So vocab, and I think probably because they're throwing in foods and other things, I'm making lists of things. So and is kind of one of those handy, handy signs to know. You use it a lot. For me, I kind of think of it as this object right here tying together to this object, and this object. So I always try when I learn a sign to make some type of a connection. For you guys, it can be whatever it helps you to remember what it is, but I try to just make some type of a mental conceptual connection with that sign that I'm learning so that I remember it easier. Apple. So little knuckle, kind of digging your knuckle into, yep, better, into your cheek. This, I kind of think of a little apple core, the core in the middle where the little thing is, twisting the core out. Somehow that's my connection there. Candy. I kind of think of kids with the dimples, cute, young, lollipop, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Candy stuck in their, you know, in their teeth and inside in their mouth, whatever. Candy. Cereal. Kind of a weird one. I've seen, I'm gonna check this really quick because I think it might even go in the opposite direction. This one is one of those signs that I learned differently. So I always I had to find my mouse. I'm pulling it up. Oh, he's doing just one finger and going across like this. Cereal. I always have to remind myself to check it because it's always the opposite of what I learned. So I learned like cereal with like a bunch of fingers. So he's just doing it with one. Yeah, I think he's doing it right to left. Cereal. Yeah, he's doing it right to left. So right corner of your mouth across your chin. I have no idea why that's cereal or how. A suggestion on how to help you guys memorize that one. Okay, come on, mouse. I'm on 2 monitors, so of course my mouse is going back and forth, and it's lost. There it is. Okay, next one down. Cookie. Cookie cutter. This one's really easy. Just think of a cookie cutter cutting out a cookie. So you've got kind of like this bent 5 hand shape, and you're going kind of back and forth, left and right. Cookie. Cup. So kind of like your hands kind of holding the cup. That one's kind of easy as well. Very physical, concrete thing. That's actually called an iconic sign when a sign is very similar to the shape or the action related to what it is, like book. Very iconic sign, right? We haven't learned that one yet, but that one's a good, easy one to remember. You're opening up a book with your fingers. You're making the hand shape of the actual item. Cup. Eat. There's another iconic sign because you're actually doing or closer to a constructed action where you're actually kind of acting out what you're doing, kind of like gesturing it. Eat. Or this is also the sign for food. Egg. I think of cracking the egg open. So that's how I remember that one. So right hand on top, left hand on the bottom. This is name, right? Very similar, right? Very same hand shapes, different, same orientation, same location. What's different? The movement. Down, cracking down is an egg. Tap, tap on top is name. That's the only difference. And of course, whenever you use something in context, what's your name, you know, or like you go to the store, I need eggs. And even if you saw that, if you're talking about going to the store to buy food, you obviously know it's not going to be name, right? It's going to make more sense that it would be egg, right? So there's a lot of those types of things that you can catch just in context. Maybe if it's isolated all by itself, you might not know, but it should be an obvious thing that they're doing this versus this. Okay, taste. putting your middle finger kind of at your mouth, your tongue. What does it taste like? This is your feely finger. You're going to use it a lot. It's like the same for touch and taste and feel. This middle finger does a lot of that. Okay. Egg, taste, full. There's two different versions of full. I'm going to click on this really quick so I can remember which one he's up. Okay. So there's something full as in like you're full, like something is full, like enough, it's filled up to the top. So I think of scraping off your flour cup and it's full, right? If you're full, like you're full, you know, you're full, like you've eaten a lot. So your food has filled all the way up to your, you know, through your esophagus. That's another way to remember. Yeah, you're full. Yep. Okay, hamburger. Hamburger. You're making the hamburger patty. This is another kind of iconic or constructed action sign. You're making the hamburger patty. But this is also the hamburger that you eat, like a burger in a bun. Hamburger. Hot dog. Two signs for this. I've seen both of them used depending on what region you're from. I think depends on which one you learned or which one you've seen. But I've seen this one for hot dog, which also means bologna or sausage. And then I've seen this one, like hot dog in a bun, hot dog. So either one, if you do both of them, if you are talking about food, hot dogs and hamburgers, you know, or hot dogs and hamburgers, going to a barbecue. Okay, hungry. C hand shape. Put it the fingers and the thing. Hungry, right? I think of this as this is kind of an empty space. And my esophagus is empty, so and it wants food to go down it, so it's hungry. So that's my mental association. But there's also, this also means wish or desire. You want something. So it means both. You have a hunger or desire for something, and it literally means you're hungry and you want to eat food. Milk. This comes from, of course, milking the cow, but one-handed milk. Yep. Just squeezing it is fine. You don't have to like pull down. You can just, yep, just in and out. Open and close your fist. Next one down is pizza. I've seen 3 different signs for this. And Celsa, you can always pop in and say, hey, you know, I know this sign. But there's pizza where you kind of spell it quickly, P-I-Z-A, like, so it's kind of like a down swipe. I've seen just a double Z. So you can spell it pizza, just like P-double-Z, and then close it to an A. And then I've seen this one, pizza, where you're like taking the slice and putting it in your mouth. I think there was even one more. There was one that was similar to this, but this looks too much like another sign, so don't want to teach you that one right now. But Celsa, do you know any more than that besides this one and pizza and just kind of spelling it pizza? But I think he showed spelling it was his preference. And he's from California, so that's pretty typical for his region. Okay, so next one down, popcorn. The kernels are popping up and hitting the top of your popcorn maker. Pop, 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 or popping everywhere, popcorn. That's a really fun sign. Okay, soup. Soup. Think of this as your spoon, and you're digging the soup up and you're putting it in your mouth. Spoon. Soup, sorry. Soup. Soup. Click on that too. Yep. I always like to check myself because just when I think I'm learning it the way he's showing it, it's different, like cereal. Okay, water. So W, so you think W for water, it's up here in your mouth where you drink. That's how you can remember it, water. And what kind? So this is K's, and you're going to put the right hand on top of the left hand, and you're going to circle the right hand out and under the left hand and back on top. Kind. So they're kind of circling each other. You can move both hands around. Yeah. Yep, kind of like they're just kind of circling each other. That means what type, what kind, what style of something. And then you would, if you want to ask what kind, how could you, besides just signing the sign what kind, what's another way that you could ask a question, what kind, with that sign? Yeah, I see your eyebrows going up. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, tilt your head like, what kind, right? I'm going to watch, I'm going to check his facial expression because I want to make sure. He tilts his head this way and he wrinkles his brow down. What kind? And he even tilts his chin back just slightly. Almost like it protrudes just a little bit. It goes over this. So he's more of a, when you ask, he's asking what his eyebrows are down, scrunched down versus up. Okay. Let's do some practice sentences. We've got most of our vocab over, so you can always review, or if you guys get stuck. Oh, and we should do this, and I don't know if, I know, Ellie, let's see if you remember. How do you sign what's the sign for? This is going to take you back quite a bit.
Oh.
How would you sign that?
I was going to do fingers. Would you just do what's and sign, and then you'd finger spell it?
You could say for. Also.
Oh, for, right. Yeah.
Sign for. And then you finger spell the word that you wanted them to sign for. So from going here on forward, instead of you guys just say, hey, what's the sign for this? You know, I would like you to remember that, to get rid of the words and just say, and then spell the word you want to know. So when we're practicing this, when you forget the words that we just learned, besides going back and clicking on it, looking at it, and then doing it, which you're welcome to do that, you can also, if you want to ask me directly, say, and finger spell the word. So that way you'll get that sentence ingrained in your head, and then you will get the practice of finger spelling as well. Okay. All right. So let's do, this is all, most of this is about food. You guys haven't learned, Ellie, you've learned some family signs, right? You remember most of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's in one of the previous lessons, I believe, besides what we're doing right now. So if you get a chance, Angelique, go over find the lesson that has the family signs in it, like mother, father, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousin. Some of them might not be in there, but review those for sure. Because as we go forward, they're going to kind of throw those in there as we're building along. And those are some pretty basic ones that we will probably use often. But I will for sure show you how to sign ones if any of these have them. Like only one of them has sister in it. So you can at least learn that one today. Let's do, we're going to do two of them together. We're going to go through, just go down through them and practice them together. And then we'll do one of them, like taking turns, just kind of asking each other questions, kind of like we did last time. And then I would like you guys to do like one of those practice groups by yourself for homework. And then I'll try to remember to ask you next week how that goes and which ones you worked on and what you thought of it. Okay, so let's do this. I want to do the first one. And we'll just go through the questions, and I'll read the questions. And if you have them in front of you, you can also read and follow along and then see how they're doing the words. So we already did the first one. We did, do you like to eat green apples? So it would be apple, green you like to eat?
Hey, Rebecca.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna head out. If they do end up coming, I doubt it because it's already almost gonna be 5. Will you
Okay.
email me?
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Salsa. Bye. Have a good weekend. Did you guys catch what she signed at the end? What did she sign? Were you watching? Ellie, what did she sign?
You too. Same.
Yep, you too. Same. Yep. Okay. All right, so let's go down to the next one. What type of candy do you like? So candy, you like what kind? So we're going to throw the question in here. What kind? What kind? And I think what I want to do is go through and just practice the first group of questions and then go through and answer them. So practice asking each other the questions and then answering them instead of just practicing just the questions. Okay, next question. Cereal, you like what kind? Sorry, bad habit. What kind? Throwing the question in with it. What kind? With your facial expressions instead of saying, because he's signing what kind, and he's got a hyphen between what and kind. So yeah, he's not saying what kind, he's just saying. Okay, do you like cookies and milk? So this one, he flipped the order around. So interesting. Instead of saying cookies with milk, you like, he signed you like cookies with milk. With the question mark. So how many cups of water do you drink daily? It's interesting coming up with these questions. Okay, water you drink every day or daily. Cups, how many? Whew, that was quite a loaded question, huh? How many? How many? So water, you drink cups, or sorry, every day. I forgot every day. Every day, cups. How many? Water, you drink every day. Cups, how many? That is a mouthful. It's a handful. It's a handful and a mouthful. Okay. All right, so let's go through and practice asking each other the questions and then answering them. And if we still have a few more minutes, I'll just let you guys look through the list if you have access to it and pick one question that you like, and then just tell me which one you're gonna, read the question in English and then practice signing it and sign, and then pick somebody to answer the question for you. So I'm just gonna pick my favorite. So let's just start with that. I'm just gonna pick my favorite question from that list, and I'm gonna ask Angelique. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what type of cereal do you like? So I'm going to sign that. Okay. You don't know? Do you eat cereal? Yeah? You don't have a favorite? You can spell it. If you don't know the sign, you can say what's the sign for, and you can spell it.
I don't have a favorite.
Okay. All right, I'll pick a different question.
Sorry, I don't have any favorites except for color.
Okay, that's fine. I've actually met another person in my life who was the same way, who had no favorites on anything. Okay, you just like a lot of things, or you don't like certain things.
No,
probably.
I love lots of things.
Okay, it's hard with food because then you're like, oh, I like it all. I could say, what type of candy do you like? You're like, all of it. It's all my favorite. Okay.
Cheese is my favorite food.
Oh, cheese?
Cheese.
Okay. So my favorite food. What?
Okay.
You could say what? Like, what's my favorite food? Cheese.
Cheese.
Yep. Okay, let's just do that question. Why don't you pick someone else and ask them what their favorite food is?
I think I'll pick Ellie.
Not like we have anyone else to choose from besides me. But.
So what? Right? We did that. Did you do that first? I was. Oh, okay. Okay. Ellie. Is that pizza?
Uh-huh. It's an easier way to do it. Okay.
Should I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at the list.
You can ask the same question, what's your favorite food, if you're curious, or you could just pick a different question. Whatever.
Okay. So then I'll ask Rebecca. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's the same sign as the animal. Got ya. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Did we do animals? I don't think we've done. Did we do animal signs before in our class, Ellie? No, I don't think so. Yeah, chicken. Pretty sure it's the same sign. The meat that you eat, and then the animal. But when you say beef or hamburger, you don't say cow. You say meat, like beef, meat. And I think they spell ham. Ham is spelled, but okay. Let's do. All right. Let's do you like to eat popcorn at the movies? Okay. This means suppose, like what if? Suppose you go to the movies, like if you go to the movies, or when, like suppose you go to the movies. This is movie, like kind of like the moving screen, kind of like going the screen, like the old things, like they slide, had something to do, I think, with how the movies used to be made or run. So. Just like in Spanish, you learn how to say so. Sí, no, so. Okay. Let's do.
How would you say I love it?
This is an ASLism, something that's just for kind of only, doesn't really translate, kind of like an idiom, like our English idioms, not exact meaning. But it's kissing the back of your fist and throwing it out. that means love it. That means absolutely love it. And that can be a person, a place, a thing, an experience, like an emphasis on like, it's your favorite too. Like your absolute favorite, love it. So again, another idiom. So good question. Oh, you have to say, what's the sign for? So what's the sign for? And then you finger spell, love it, right? Okay. I'll try to remember. I get caught up in the excitement of teaching you guys stuff and then I forget. Shame, bad me. Okay. I'm trying to pick different signs that we can practice. Okay, let's do, what kind of cookies do you like? Okay. I know you don't have favorites, but. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll be done. Okay, Ellie. Not sure on that, but chocolate chip. Yeah, chocolate. So chocolate, like stirring the chocolate with the C on the back of your hand. Vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay.
Of course, strawberry is not S on the. It's just why strawberry. So
What was this that you were doing?
Chip.
So chocolate
chip cookies.
Chocolate chip. That's okay. Chocolate chip cookies. Okay.
And I know that this is a sign for chips, like the chips that you eat. I never really learned like a specific sign for like chocolate chip, but sometimes they'll spell chip, like chocolate chip. They'll spell it chocolate chunk. I don't know. But it's probably wrong to sign it chocolate chip. I should definitely check on that. I've never seen it, but anyway, good job, you guys. Thanks for coming. And any more questions? We're gonna just keep going forward with our lessons and more questions, sentences in these lessons. Go back and review, practice other sentences from previous lessons. It'll give you, just go through all of them, starting at the beginning, and then that'll give you a good feel for which vocabulary you don't know. And then you can kind of focus on words, like working on practicing those. So it's kind of a good review overall. So yeah, practice at the time in front of the mirror, practice recording yourself. Hi, buddy.
Okay. I have a quick question. What's the, well, I guess I was going to ask what's the difference. I'm not sure how to sign that. So
That's fine.
Okay. So how many fire? Is it just
fire? Fire is more like, well, wait is very similar to fire. So waiting for a long time, right? But it would be in context, right? So fire, yeah.
Okay. How many is more? Okay.
How many is like closed and then flicking it out.
Right. Okay.
But that could also be light flicking on. You know, lots of different movements that are similar, but I think it's just in context.
It makes sense when you're signing.
Yeah. Pencil. It's like you're licking the pencil and writing with it. Pointer finger and thumb. Pencil. Because I think they used to have to lick it, so I think that's where it came from. I don't know. keep it wet. That's how I remember it. Lick your pencil. I don't know.
And they were made with real lead. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'm sure there's more history to it. I'm kind of curious. I like to learn some of the origins of where signs come from and how they develop and stuff, but it's very interesting. Especially even newer signs that have been created because of culture. So pop culture or like superheroes, books and fun things like that, right? They get their own name signs, things that are just given to them from the deaf community that's perpetuated and copied by everyone, and then everyone just generally accepts it or it just makes sense. But there are newer signs, old signs that are old school that are kind of dropped off and new words that are picked up. So just like, we have lots of technology words, things now that wouldn't make any sense to older people. Language is always developing and morphing because of culture and exposure. All of the things that's going on now because of COVID is forming and shaping our language. Social distancing, in person, just all of these terms, that we're now using, distance learning, Zoom, just all these crazy, crazy things that we don't even think about that we're just all talking. And if somebody came into our world, from another language or into our, little realm and had never heard our language before, they'd be like, huh, what, like what's going on, So I just think language is really cool. But anyway. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.